You saw the title of the video. This is a really good problem to have. And like most things, when it comes to financial independence and early retirement, the answer is complicated. The answer is it depends. And the best answer usually differs from the traditional answer. Hello everyone, my name is Zach, and welcome to On Cash Flow, where I help you become a master of your own cash flow. Now let's get started. Let me go ahead and start by giving you the short answer to this question right now. The reason why financial independence and early retirement answering the question differs is that you have a different time frame, you have different goals, and you may have different preferences. The reason why I'm making this video was I was actually inspired by a highlight video from the Money Guy show where they tried to answer this question. Stay to the end of this video because I'm gonna redirect you to their video and you'll see why I made this video. The first major difference is when it comes to time. You have a much different time frame for early retirement, financial independence, and traditional retirement. You're going to be saving maybe anywhere from 30% to 60% of your income and redirecting that into investments if you're looking to retire early. And along with that, usually comes a goal time frame of about 10 to 20 years. That's really not that long of a time frame. So the argument of return on investment and compound interest and compounding returns over that time frame is much less significant than when you're comparing it to a traditional retirement. When it comes to traditional retirement for a time frame, you're usually looking at a much longer time frame. You might be looking at a time frame that's 30 years from now, 40 years from now, and even maybe possibly 50 years from now. So with those longer time frames, the value of compounding and the value of having more money invested is a lot higher versus a shorter time frame when it comes to financial independence and early retirement. And while the time frame of investing does matter, another time frame that matters is when you hit the like button on this video. If you're enjoying this video so far, please make sure you hit the like button, give it a thumbs up. The best time frame to do so is right now. I would really appreciate it. Okay, but seriously, there is another major difference between FIRE and traditional retirement that we need to talk about, and that is the actual math. When it comes to math, when you're talking about traditional retirement and actually traditional retirement on this side, when you're talking about math and it comes to early retirement and regular retirement, there is a big difference on how you're going to run the math. When you're looking to retire early, you're probably going to be using what's known as a withdrawal rule. And the most common one is going to be 4%. You can then apply that to your fixed expenses and see how important it is for you to get rid of a fixed expense. So let's go ahead and apply that to a mortgage. I went ahead and looked up what the median mortgage was in the United States, and I found that it's about $1,609 per month. This varies dramatically depending on what state we are talking about, because some states have really high housing costs, some have very low housing costs, some have average housing costs. But I'm gonna go ahead and use something around this median number, which is $1,609. Now that happens to include everything that you pay within a mortgage, including your principal, your interest, your insurance, and your taxes. So I'm gonna reduce it just slightly to try to come with a nice even number for easy math sakes. So I'm gonna be using $1,500 per month. Now, how powerful is this when it comes to early retirement? We can multiply that by 12 to get an annual figure of $18,000 per year. And then we can take that $18,000 per year and multiply it by 25. And that should get us $450,000. This represents $450,000 you no longer need in invested assets in order to retire early. $450,000, 4% of that is your $18,000. Another way you can look at this is if your house costs less than $450,000, then you just saved yourself a lot of investments that you no longer need. So now you can reach early retirement much faster. Let's say that the house was worth $300,000. Now that's $150,000 additionally of investments that you no longer need because you got rid of that fixed expense. By contrast, let's look at regular retirement. Let's say you have that same $1,500 per month fixed mortgage, but you plan on working for another 30, 40, possibly 50 years. We're usually not going to apply the same 4% safe withdrawal rate and not use that as our math. Instead, the kind of math that we might use is looking at our interest rate versus our expected return over the long run. So if our mortgage interest rate is 4% and our expected return over the long run is somewhere around 8%, then yes, over the next 30 years, you're going to get a lot richer, you're going to have a lot more wealth if you simply pay the minimum on your mortgage and invested the difference. The math is different when it comes to early retirement and when it comes to traditional retirement. But that's not all that's different. There is another major difference, and that is when it comes to your goals. Your goal, typically when it comes to financial independence and early retirement, is to not have to rely on work income before you're 60. So maybe in your 50s, in your 40s, in your 30s, or sometimes even in your 20s like I did. So if you are actually looking to retire early and instead be able to live off of your investments and leave full-time work and pursue other kinds of work or other kinds of things that you want to do with your time, then that is your goal, to be able to live off of your investments and support your desired lifestyle. However, when it comes to regular retirement, the goal is more or less the same. However, it applies at a much later age. Usually, what we traditionally think of is in your 60s or possibly sometimes in your 70s. So that is a much different model for when you're looking to live off of your investments. When it comes to these two goals, usually, I think for most of us, the goal is not actual wealth maximization. Our goal is not necessarily to maximize our wealth. Instead, you have to actually look at your own goals, what your preferences are, and then make the best decision for you based on those. So maybe you do value having a higher net worth at the end of 30 years. Maybe you do value having lower fixed expenses. Maybe you just value having some flexibility and being able to do what you want. So it just depends on your goals and your preferences. And now this leads me to a big question I have for you here. If you have a mortgage now, or if you're going to be planning on buying a home soon, do you plan on paying off that mortgage early? Do you plan on just making the minimum payments and investing the difference? Why or why not? I'm really curious to hear what you have to say. But I also have some really excellent news for you here, and that is what I like to call the happy medium. The excellent news is that you don't have to pick one or the other. You don't have to pick pay off your mortgage early or invest the difference, invest the extra cash flow that you have. You can do both at the same time at pretty much any given rate. So let's say that you found out you have an extra $500 of cash flow per month and you're unsure if you want to invest it or you're unsure if you want to pay off your mortgage early. Well, you don't have to do A or B. You can do A and B. You can take $250 per month, split that $500 down the middle, put $250 towards your mortgage and $250 into your investments, or $300 and $200, or whatever amount that you want to. When it comes to paying down your mortgage, even a relatively small amount of additional principal payments will reduce years of the amount of mortgage that you have to pay. For example, if you look at a 30-year mortgage and you want to pay it off in 15 years, it's not going to be double the mortgage payment. Go ahead and do a calculation on that. It's nowhere near that. And when it comes to your investments, on the other hand, even a small amount of additional investments can grow very significantly over the years, depending on how long of a time frame that you have until you use those investments. So overall, the best answer to this is that it depends on your goals, it depends on your preferences. You can do both if you want to, and it's a win-win problem to have. You win if you pay off your mortgage early, you win if you invest the extra difference. And as I mentioned before, I made this video because I watched the highlight video from the Money Guy show where they tried to answer this question for one of the callers that called in. And if you're interested in checking out their video, it's gonna pop up on the screen right now, right after I get off the screen. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm Zach from OnCashFlow.com, and I hope to see you next time. So let's say that your payoff, well, in that case, we're not gonna apply and then make the decision.